This podcast is produced by the Harwood Productions Podcast Network. To learn more about the network and to find more of our shows, visit us online at www.harwoodpodcast.com.
To find out how you can help kickstart our latest show, Live from Base 6, visit our website and click on the Kickstarter icon. A big pot of cioppino is great when you're having friends and family in for dinner. It's loaded with all kinds of luxurious fish and seafood and cooked in a fabulous Italian broth. They're going to really think you've spoiled them. Now, one of the things that's great about cioppino, it's got a very simple but very complex in flavor tomato sauce that the seafood cooks in. It's got a lot of Italian flavors in it, like onion, garlic, lots of basil. And we're going to start by getting our vegetables ready to be sauteed. So I'm going to start by getting one onion, and I'm going to cut that into a medium-sized chop. Then I'm going to mince 3 cloves of garlic, and I'm just going to mince this right over the onions because I'm going to be cooking them at the same time in our soup pot. And then I'm just going to chop up 1 bell pepper. And for the bell pepper, what I do is I take a slice off the top, take the little stem out, and then I just pull that center piece out. It has all the seeds and the membranes and everything in it. And then I'm just going to go ahead and cut this into some larger pieces, almost like planks. And then I'm going to run my knife through and make some strips. And then I can just gather the strips up and cut them into a nice dice. Now that I've got my onion and my bell pepper chopped up, I'm going to move this to one side of my board, and then I'm going to go ahead and start chopping up my herbs. Now I have 4 nice sprigs of basil, and so I'm going to go ahead and take the leaves off each of the stems, and then I'm going to make sure I don't have any of these woody stems. These don't taste that great in the cioppino. And then I'm just going to gather all of these leaves up in a handful like this, and then I'm just going to run my blade through them. And there's another one of those little woody stems. I don't want that. Now this can be just a rough chop like this. I kind of like the cioppino to have a little bit of texture to it. I don't want it to be like a tomato soup. And that's about, a cup of chopped basil right here. Then I'm going to get 3 sprigs of oregano, and I just got this right out of the garden, so it's nice. The leaves are nice and tender. And I'm just going to take them and I'm going to run my finger down the stem. So if you hold the stem up like this, if you start at the top and then you just run your finger down it like this, it pulls all the leaves off. Now I've got my big soup pot on, and I'm going to put the heat on a medium heat. And then I'm just going to take and add, about 2 tablespoons of olive oil into my pan. And I'm going to let that heat up. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to put my onions and garlic and bell peppers into the pot, and I'm going to let this saute for about 5 minutes. Now you can see the vegetables are just getting soft. I don't want them to brown. Now I'm going to go ahead and add some tomatoes. I have 2 large 28-ounce cans of a diced tomato. These are in a tomato juice. I'm going to go ahead and add all of that. Then I'm going to add to that 2 cups of a dry white wine. I'm using a Sauvignon Blanc. I've got about 3 ounces of tomato paste. That's about 1/3 of a cup. So I'm going to go ahead and add that. And then I'm going to be putting in a bottle of clam juice. This is a cup of clam juice. It's 8 ounces. I'm going to go ahead and add that. Then I'm going to add a bunch of black pepper, almost a full teaspoon. And then all the chopped herbs. Now I'm going to give this a stir. And I want to bring it up to a boil, so I'm going to increase the heat to about medium-high. Now once this starts to come to a boil, I'm going to take the lid and I'm going to partially cover it. I'm going to reduce the heat down to a medium-low, and I'm going to let this cook for about 20 minutes. Now, because the base of this cioppino is so easy to make, I don't like to make a lot of extra work for myself when it comes to the fish and seafood part. So what I do is at the grocery store, I find these things, many of them in the freezer. Now, if you can get fresh seafood and fresh fish, that's great. But it depends on the time of year and where you live. Now, the first thing I want to show you is my shrimp. Now these are a nice size shrimp. These are in fact a 13 to 15 shrimp, which means that there's about 13 to 15 of these shrimp per pound. Now these are raw. They have been deveined, so they've been cleaned. The only thing that's left on them is the tail. Now I have gone ahead and defrosted these, and then I'm just going to go ahead and put these into my little fish container right here so that I can add all of this seafood to my cioppino base at the same time. Then I've got a pound of scallops, and these are a nice medium-sized scallop. Again, these were frozen, but I've gone ahead and defrosted them in the refrigerator overnight. So I'm going to add a pound of those to my shrimp. Now I have about 2 pounds of cod fillets. These are a wild cod. Again, I found these in the freezer section of the store. I just went ahead and defrosted them overnight in the refrigerator. You could also use halibut if you'd like. You want to make sure that they're a medium-sized thickness fillet because you don't want these to fall apart in our cioppino. Now all we have to do is cut them into some pieces. And I'm just going to cut them about this size. It'll be nice in the bowl with the other seafood, but it's not so small that it will fall apart on us. So basically I'm taking like each fillet, I'm cutting it into fourths. Now the last thing I'm going to be adding is about 2 pounds of crab meat. Now if you like to get your crab fresh and to shell it yourself, great. I myself am not that into that, so what I do is I get in the refrigerator section, they have these great cans of fresh crab meat. These are 1 pound of crab meat. They tend to be mainly claw meat, so they're nice big pieces, and so I'm going to add 2 pounds of crab when I go ahead and put my fish and seafood into the cioppino. Now it's time to add our fish. So to the simmering cioppino base, I'm just going to go ahead and add all of my fish and my seafood and my crab. And this is going to simmer in this pot for about 5 minutes or until all the seafood is cooked through. I'm just going to stir this very gently because I want to make sure all of that fish and seafood is submerged in that broth so that it can cook. And then just to help it steam, I'm going to go ahead and put the lid back on, and again we're going to steam this for about 5 minutes. Now while the cioppino is finishing cooking, I've taken some Italian flat leaf parsley and I'm just going to chop this up real fine because it looks really pretty when you sprinkle it on top before you serve it. Well, this cioppino is fabulous for any kind of dinner party you're having, casual or not. I'm making it for a friend's birthday tonight. It's just chock full of delicious seafood, and that Italian broth that it's cooked in is fantastic. Now, if you'd like to get the recipe, just go to our website and visit the Easy Entertaining show notes, and I'll have the recipe there for you. And as always, if you have any questions, make sure to send me an email. I'll see you next time.